Assalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So, welcome to episode 3 of the Beyond podcast. I'm joined by brother Mohammed Zaheer from Coventry in the UK, and we're basically talking about anxiety, fatherhood, fitness. We're talking a little about how our paths joined. So, brother Zaheer, I'll put the ball in your court.
Jazakallah
How,
khair.
what are you doing these days with yourself and your time? How was your weekend, by the way?
Alhamdulillah, weekend was good. Family time. I went out, a few bits and pieces to do, shopping. Apart from that, yeah, just spent quality time at home. Alhamdulillah.
And you've got kids, yeah? How old are they? And girls or
Yeah.
boys?
So Alhamdulillah, married. Alhamdulillah, 3 children. Eldest one is 17. Middle one is 14, and the youngest is my daughter, who is 8 years old. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So how did you manage to keep yourself looking so young? MashaAllah, tabarakallah.
I think it's
I know
a
this is something. This is something that people have asked you before.
loads of people. Alhamdulillah, yeah. I don't know.
What's your secret, man?
I think it's probably eating the right food and wearing hair dye, I guess.
Oh, like the hair dye, yeah. I think I'm contemplating myself, maybe a
Was
bit of henna, bit of mendi on the. You
yeah,
probably can't see it now because of the headset, but the grey
yeah,
hairs are
yeah,
starting
yeah.
to creep
Yeah,
through.
the sides start, going right before the top, innit? So, alhamdulillah, it's all right.
Yeah, so I think it's also sunnah as well, right? Mendi. I've heard
Yes,
it's sunnah.
yeah,
Okay, so
it is, yeah.
it's an opportunity to complete a sunnah as well, inshallah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Alhamdulillah, yeah, yeah, true. So yeah, my weekend was pretty much just a bit of family time, and yeah, joined the call on Saturday with brother Mohammed Zaheer as well. So yeah, alhamdulillah. What about yours?
Alhamdulillah, mine was good. Just the usual, to be honest with you. Weekend is a time to relax. For me, I was doing a lot of reading. I got a book by Louis Theroux, The Call of the Weird, and it was strange because I was just looking at my bookshelf. I was like, "What have I not read?" Um, and uh, and that kind of just stuck out on me. It was um, it was kind of a break from everything else that's going on. It was
Right.
like stepping out of reality and going into like a alternative reality, if you understand what I mean.
Okay.
And it was nice. I think I managed to finish it over the weekend. And all sorts of weird and wonderful topics.
Yeah.
But you know who I'm talking about? That he does documentaries.
Nah.
He's done guns and he's done like I think he's done a few around America and stuff.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, just a lot of reading, to be honest. That's one
Right.
of the things that I just enjoy doing.
Have you
That
always been reading a lot of books or?
from a young age, yeah, I've always been a reader. But I used to read fiction.
Right.
I used to read made up stuff previously.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Dune and Lion Witch and the Wardrobe.
Yeah.
C.S. Lewis. I was big on C.S. Lewis. There was a time when I went through reading Irvine Walsh. Who's Don't
Yeah.
ask, man. He's a Scottish author, and some of his books are a little bit, you know, across the boundary
Is
for
it-
let's just say for Muslims.
Right.
But it was a time. It was just a phase, basically. And but nowadays it's more factual books. I'm really big on um, at the moment. Alhamdulillah.
I've not.
What about
I've not.
yourself? Are you
Yeah.
much of a
I'm
reader?
not a book reader. Yeah. To be honest. But I did read a book recently. I started reading it. To be honest. Hold on to your kids. So
Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah.
yeah, it's really, really good book. I've only read like a third of it, but yeah, it really opens your eyes. Subhanallah. Yeah,
Yeah. So I recommended this book for you. In fact, I sent it to you
you did. Yeah,
because we were talking about the attachment bond between parents and their sons and daughters,
yeah,
and how that can become disrupted through peer, through more in this day and age, it's more to do with social media and internet usage. we're in a time where there's all these challenges. Children are being exposed to a lot more ideas
Yeah.
than what they would have been before. And I thought this book, because it was written by uh, is co-authored by what's his name, Gabor Mate, who's an Auschwitz survivor, and he speaks humanely on the Palestine issue.
Oh, okay.
He's very vocal that what's going on in Palestine is a genocide. He says that openly, and he says that across the board to anybody who interviews him. He's a very smart guy.
Wow.
He's a psychologist. Talks a lot about trauma. He's an expert in trauma and recovery. And he's got a heart of gold. Basically,
Oh,
he's Jewish, but he speaks the truth, and so he's co-authored it. And then there's another author who I don't know that much about. But okay, so you're about a third into it. What did you think of
yeah.
it?
Yeah, started reading it, and alhamdulillah, yeah, it really opens your eyes, to be honest. Lots of stuff on there, and a lot of stuff like you can just see right now, and you can relate to it. So especially like the peers and how children are more inclined to listening to their friends rather than their parents. Yeah, and the amount of times basically the amount of time they would spend with their friends rather than their parents, and it's incredible. It's really incredible. And you mentioned about social media and stuff, but even like devices. When the kids are at home, you know, are they restricted? Do they have any restrictions in place, or do they just use the devices as much as possible until you actually stop them? So it is something
Yeah.
that's a big concern.
Yeah, there's definitely an addictive nature when it comes to devices, screen time, YouTube, new novelty um, videos or content that gives us that dopamine hit, gives us that dopamine release. And
Exactly.
once you get that dopamine, and it's hitting the same neural pathways as, for example, cocaine addiction or any kind of drug abuse or even food addiction, sugar addiction, all these. That's what I find fascinating about this stuff. That the way the industries have understood this,
Mm,
and their engineering. There's a similitude between the way engineering is being done in, for example, Silicon Valley,
yeah.
Google, and the Facebook and the TikTok and all these very complicated algorithms are being used to keep us staring at the screens. In the same way, the same thing's been done with food, and the same thing's being done with other elements as well, like, for example, shopping.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you go out, that comfort shopping,
Mm,
what they call it, retail therapy.
yeah.
All these things, and Dr. Mate, he speaks about this quite openly as well, and he says that addiction is it's not just like we think of addiction as, okay, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you talk about addiction?
Something that you can't let go of, kind of thing. It's just
So what would you say is like the biggest addiction in the world?
um, biggest addiction in the world.
Yeah. What do you think, like, what when you think about addiction, what do you think about? Alcohol, drugs?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So even like something that I mentioned in one of my videos was vaping. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's talk about that, because that's
yeah,
something that uh, you're quite keen on exposing, right?
yeah. So even like quite a few years ago, very long time ago, I used to smoke, and from there I went on to vaping as well. But I was so addicted to it that I tried to basically move on from smoking to vaping. Did that
How
short.
long were you smoking for?
I smoked for a total of around about 7 years. That's how much I smoked for 7 years. Wasn't too long, but it was one of those that I was addicted to it. And then moving from smoking, I tried to go on to vaping. That didn't help, and I ended up smoking and vaping at the same time. So what happened was smoking after a few years, and started becoming unwell. I had like a stomach ulcer, so and I was bleeding for like several days.
Can you explain what an ulcer is? What is an ulcer?
So
What
ulcer was
exactly is it?
yeah, it was just like a kind of I don't know, I can't go into too detail, but it's like a kind of a spot inside my stomach. That's what it was,
Right.
and it was
Yeah,
bleeding.
yeah.
Yeah, it was bleeding because of
Okay.
that, and yeah, it was bleeding for several days, and I wasn't able to tell. So I ended up collapsing. Went to the hospital. They mentioned, look, so they treated it. They treated it, but they said, look. They asked me if I was smoking, and I said, "Yeah, I am smoking." They said, "Look, you need to quit because this is probably one of the reasons why you ended up with a stomach ulcer."
So this was in your stomach. It wasn't in your lungs or your
No,
heart. It
no, no.
was it
Stomach.
was the
It was in the
stomach.
stomach. Yeah, it was in the stomach. Yeah, stomach ulcer.
Is that usual? That's
I think it's
seem
rare. No, I think
okay.
it's rare. Yeah, it's rare. But yeah, unfortunately, it was one of those.
But
So
the smoking was definitely directly linked to it.
that's what they said. Yeah, that's what the doctors said, and they said, "Look, we
Interesting.
advise you to quit smoking." So I was in the hospital for about a week. Come out, and the habit was still there, kind of thing. So or the addiction. So I carried on smoking again, and this time that same ulcer basically opened up again, and my condition became worse. So went back into the hospital, stayed there for a couple of weeks, and it was horrible. But they said, look, you know what? If there was any other delay or a longer delay, you probably wouldn't be here right now. So that was something that just kind of like opened my eyes, and my mindset completely shifted from being a person that, you know what, I'm addicted, I can't stop smoking, I can't stop vaping, to, you know what,
Mhm.
it's going in the bin, I'm not touching it. So alhamdulillah, from that day onwards, I never smoked, yeah, or vaped after.
Alhamdulillah. So
So
how long was it between your first trip to the hospital and your second time?
about a week and a half.
A week and a half, and you carried on smoking. The first time,
During
after the
that,
first time.
yeah, during that week and a half, I carried on smoking.
Wow.
Even in the first time when I was in the hospital, I was still going outside to smoke. Yeah, that's how addicted I was, kind of thing. So
Wow. Wow.
yeah, and so alhamdulillah.
Subhanallah. And the second time, it was just like, if you carry on, you're a dead man.
Yeah,
Literally, it
yeah,
was. Is
yeah.
that what it was? Like an
So
ultimatum.
yeah, basically stop right now. And this time you managed
How,
to get to the hospital in time. You might not be lucky next time, or you need to stop basically. So
and at
uh,
this time, you were vaping and smoking as well.
I think I was, yeah, primarily smoking, maybe vaping here and there, but it was like a double kind of dose. You understand? So because the vaping was so nice, because of the kind of the fruity taste and all that it has, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
hooked onto that. Both of them had nicotine. So yeah, hooked onto both of them, and yeah, and alhamdulillah,
So the nicotine level, how much does it go up to? I think I was talking to my son. He goes up to about 5%, the maximum,
it goes up
and
to
then
five
the
percent. Yeah, yeah, but
5% is the maximum.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. 5% is a
And he
max.
was talking about nick sick, getting nick sick, getting like sick on nicotine. I think he was watching a video online about somebody who just, I think they smoked this 5% vape for, they vaped this thing for about a week, and they got nick sick, meaning they were extremely ill
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
nicotine. So like
The thing is,
headaches, vomiting, nausea, dizziness, all this.
and the other thing is, yeah, it can give you anxiety, it can give you stress as well, and you know what? It's harmful for the lungs. But I think the biggest problem we have here is like vaping is not good for anybody, but I think it's even worse for like teenagers and younger kids. That's one of the reasons why I started making content on YouTube. I came,
Yeah.
my son got into the mess of like vaping and stuff as well. Although it was for a short period of time, and I didn't know much about
How old you said your son's 18?
14, 14, 14.
14.
The,
The
the
older ones.
the middle one, yeah.
Okay, and the older one, he's not into
Nah,
vaping and
alhamdulillah.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
He's not.
Okay.
So the middle one, unfortunately, with the school systems and the friends,
Trust me, mine doesn't even go to school, and he started. He he comes one day. By the way, he's watched all your videos now.
How was it?
Alhamdulillah. And he came the other day and I'm gonna throw it in the bin. I'm throwing it in the bin. He's about to throw it, and everybody's like making, he's doing it. And I goes, no, 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 don't throw it in the bin. Put it on the shelf there. Because then, if you do desperately feel like it,
Mm.
you know that it's there. But when you throw it in the bin, it's going to be like almost like the forbidden fruit. Now it's
Yeah,
like it's not
yeah,
there. Now you have to go and get it. Now you have to go through all the sneaky little ritual of getting the money and going to
yeah,
the shop and all the rest of it.
yeah.
So I go, just leave it there. Don't charge you anything. And just you're bigger than basically you're it's a psychological thing. You're telling yourself you're bigger than the vape basically. But yeah, so he's a homemade, and he's still doing it. You
Yeah.
get it? So
But
it's not just
not.
the
It's
school
yeah.
system.
It's not just the school system, but it's a trend. It's a trend as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. You look at
absolutely.
you might walk past somebody who's vaping, and although you might say it's disgusting, but if it's got one of those fruity smells, you're like, wow, okay, that smells nice. Uh,
The taste is I've got to admit that I have tried it. I have a rule. I'll
yeah.
have 3 tries, and
Yeah.
that's it. And I won't take it into my lungs, just in the mouth.
Right. Okay.
Because in the past I have done a little bit of what's it called, vaping. A couple of my friends, my brother, both of my brothers, they were vaping. I used to smoke a long, long time ago, and I
Yeah.
quit cold turkey about 10 Ramadans ago. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
So you're right about the taste, the flavor, the taste. It just seems it's like sweets, but it's in a smoke form. That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's what it seems like. And I'm sure, like we were talking about, that there's very clever marketing and very clever engineering of these
Yeah.
products going on behind the scenes to get our
Absolutely.
kids spending their money and spending their time and energy on these things.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. So when I found out, I wasn't obviously pleased, and a lot of the parents wouldn't be pleased. So I had some serious talks with my son, and the thing is, now I realize that it all depends the way the conversation takes place, the way you talk to your children. And so initially, it didn't go down too well in the sense that he would still vape behind me, behind my back, kind of thing. So, and then eventually I spoke to a brother, alhamdulillah, may Allah bless him, um, and I got advice from him. And, what he mentioned was, um, when you're talking, don't be judgmental. And when you're talking, have empathy, okay? Because obviously you've been through something like this. You know how difficult it is, right? You know the addiction and stuff. So, and especially if it's a kid, a teenager doing it, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to stop.
Yeah,
So
it's strange how we don't put ourselves into their shoes.
we don't. Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
almost like we're angels.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, obviously, there's a danger in looking at things that way as well. But I believe there's a balance.
You need to have a balance. Alhamdulillah. So I had a very good discussion with him afterwards, and I spoke to him. I said, "Look, you know what? I know it's not easy to quit. It's difficult to quit, and from now until you quit, Alhamdulillah, I'm going to be with you throughout your journey. Alhamdulillah, I'm going to be with you. Whenever you get your cravings, or whenever you feel like having it, give me a call. Yeah, even if you're at school, drop me a message when you get a chance, and inshallah we'll talk about it. Alhamdulillah, that made a massive, massive difference, and he quit. Yeah. So alhamdulillah, I was really happy. I was really, really
So
happy.
how many times did he call you or message you? Was it something that you can count on your fingers, or was it more than that?
On average, for the first week and a half, I think it was like a few times during the day. Yeah, and the problem with that is
For a
one
few
thing
times during the day.
during the day. Yeah, because
Okay, a
I'll tell you
few
why.
times.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. So what happens is that when you quit vaping, you start getting these nicotine withdrawal symptoms. So the last video I made a few days ago was all to do with that. So it's like when you quit vaping, you start getting anxiety, you start getting stress, but at the same time, you used to be getting dopamine because of the nicotine as well. Okay, but you're not getting that anymore. So there's a lot of stuff that you used to get when you were vaping, and all of a sudden, when you stop, you're not getting that anymore. So it's
Right.
really, really tough. So that week to 2 weeks is probably one of the most hardest phases. You know,
Yeah.
I when I quit, to be honest, I really can't remember. I mean, I probably went through these, but it's been such a long time when I went through it. But so yeah, for the
I
first
know a lot of people when they quit cigarettes, they eat a lot
yeah, that's another thing.
because smoking suppresses your appetite, doesn't it? So
It
once you
does.
stop, you just end up going a little bit, mad with the food.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, alhamdulillah. I mean, that was really, really good. So now alhamdulillah he's
Alhamdulillah. How long has it been now since
I think
you've
it's been
been off
about
it?
3 months now.
And
Alhamdulillah.
is it affecting any of his friends? Have they has it had an impact on his friends? Do you know?
It does. He mentioned it, and it does. To be honest, because you're in a circle. Yeah, you've got your friends, and especially if your friends are vaping every day, sometimes the only thing you can do is walk away. Yeah, and don't socialize with
Right.
them much. It's not easy, but it's either that or you stay with them, and unfortunately, you'll probably get dragged into it again, and start the bad habit again, kind of thing. So
So what we're saying is that he's kind of standoffish with his friends who are vaping.
yeah,
But have any of them stopped
some of
because after
them have,
seeing him?
some of them, alhamdulillah,
Uh,
some
yeah,
of them
yeah,
have,
yeah. Alhamdulillah.
which is really good.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your whole experience with because you got past experience with anxiety. I thought this was fascinating because if you hadn't sought help for your anxiety, then I imagine how you dealt with this situation with your son with the vaping would be entirely different, right?
So my
Talk to us a little bit about your anxiety, please.
so yeah, so I've been working for the company I'm working for right now in IT for about 12 years, 12, 13 years, and I've been working from home. Alhamdulillah, working from home has many benefits.
Before it was fashionable to work from home.
Yeah. So when I started working, it was for that company. It was just we all work from home. Pretty much 90% of the people worked from home anyway. So I joined in, and alhamdulillah, I started working from home. But the problem I had with that was that I suffered from anxiety for quite a number of years, and low confidence and stress, and I used to get panic attacks as well. So this is something that you know
Subhanallah, you can't tell, bro.
Alhamdulillah, we'll get to that, inshallah, we'll get to that. But so yeah, for a very long time, I really, it started something small, and it just gradually just kept on increasing. And my work required, having calls regularly as well at work. So it wouldn't be face to face, it would be on Teams. So what I would do is I would refrain from having calls, I would refrain from having online meetings. Um, just because I just couldn't speak. I would get nervous. I would have panic attacks. So when I think about it now, I think Subhanallah. I used to like even come up with excuses and say, "No, sorry, I can't join the call because X, Y, and Z, or I'm going somewhere else, or and I wouldn't. I would just be here, and I just wouldn't be able to join the call. And eventually, this kept on going on for like 10, 12 years, and I thought this was me, kind of thing. I thought this is a label I have for myself. Yeah, myself. I'm with this. This is glued onto me. It's never going to go away. Just
This is just me, part of your identity.
exactly. Just leave it as it
Like
is.
this
That's it.
is me.
And then
And your company was bothered as well,
no,
really.
not really, not really. They wouldn't like come up to me and say like oh if there's any help we can provide let us know, or just try going onto a call. We know you're struggling or anything like that. It was nothing, completely nothing.
Pretty
And
much left you to it.
left me to it. And I think what made it worse was working from home, because I wouldn't socialize with anybody. I wouldn't go to the office. We did have an office close by, but it was something like, going there like once every 4 or 5 months kind of thing. So yeah, working from home, like I said, has benefits.
And so every 4 or 5 months you used to go. What did you used to do there then? When
I
you
used
used to
to
go?
meet up with my colleagues, and then we should just work over there, or we would probably just grab lunch or something. Or
Okay. So you just
yeah,
spend a day, like, instead of working from
in the,
home, you work there.
yeah, spend a day in the office, or 2 3 times a year they used to have a big meeting where everybody, like 100 people, would kind of meet up, and they would do presentations and stuff. So for the first 9 10 years, I would always avoid going there. I would try to, come up with an excuse. I can't, go because of this reason or another reason. And it was until about last year where I thought to myself, you know what, this isn't right. I can't carry on like this. It's just, enough is enough.
What was it that triggered you though? There must have been something, right? That just you thought,
Because I was thinking to myself, this isn't me. This isn't me. At home, I'm different. I'm more open, alhamdulillah. At work, I wasn't. And I was like, this isn't right. I'm not.
but with the rest of, in terms of your job and everything, you're fine with the job. Your
Absolutely.
work was spot on.
Yeah, absolutely. Was doing the work. It's just like, in terms of contributing, going on to calls, doing presentations, I wasn't doing any of that. But deep down inside, I was like, I want to do it. But,
Ah,
so I
so
think
there
it was,
was a desire there to change,
there was
right?
a desire. Yeah, there was a desire.
Hmm.
It was early last year. I even went to,
Okay.
I even went to the GP, and I said, look,
Okay.
because so at that time, there was very, very few people that I'd spoken to about this condition. A couple of family members, nobody at work, absolutely nobody. And I spoke to the GP, and he mentioned I could put you on medication. And I was like, I don't want to go on medication.
Yippee! Medication.
I was like, no chance. There must be other, there must be other way out as well, kind of this. So I think he gave me some leaflets to read, and he said, "Look, try this. But if you want medication, the doors are always open for you."
What medication do they give you? Do
Uh,
you know the name of the tablets? What is it?
no, I can't remember. I think it was just
Okay.
calm you. It was just something to calm you, and
Okay.
with anxiety and stress, depression, I think would take that medication as well.
Hmm.
I was like, no, you know what? I don't want to go down that route because,
Alhamdulillah.
yeah, because in the past, I know 1 2 people that have been on medications, and it's not great. So I thought, you know what, there must be a way out, and alhamdulillah, around about early last year, I think it was early last year, I came across a program by brother Muhammad Arshad, Confidence Accelerator program. So I was in 2 minds: shall I join it? Shall I not join it? And then, alhamdulillah, I didn't want to have that kind of regret, that, you know what, maybe if I had joined, maybe it would have helped, kind of thing. And if I don't join it, then, later on I'm going to be like, you know what, I should have done something. So alhamdulillah, I joined the course, and
So
alhamdulillah.
what led up to that? What led up to you saying, even joining the call? Like, what was it? What were the little triggers that took you in that direction? Because it's really fascinating for me to understand what you're going through, the mind, psychologically, emotionally. Like, when did you first see that? Oh, this might be something for me. Was it an advert? Was it a
It was an
post? Was it
Yeah, it was, subhanallah, it was an advert. I went on to one of the YouTube videos. I can't remember whose it was, but then it was an advert, and then I think they were talking about, are you low in confidence, or are you not able to speak up, or all around those things.
Yeah, I think I've
And
seen I've seen it. Yeah.
yeah, it resonated, and I was like, wow, this is exactly me, you know. And then I jumped onto the call, and then, even then, although the brother was talking about all this kind of stuff, and how you would benefit from joining the program, I was still a bit reluctant. I was like, I don't know, but alhamdulillah, I joined it, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna join it, inshallah. Yeah. Um, I'll leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll put my effort in and leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I joined the program. And Alhamdulillah, it's an eye opener. Gradually, it made a lot of difference, the program itself. And I would definitely recommend people that are struggling with confidence, anxiety, definitely, it's curable. It's not something that you have to run to the GP and get medication. Yeah. It's it might sound easy when I say, look, all you got to do is change your mindset. It's definitely not that easy, but alhamdulillah,
something you've got to work on, right?
absolutely, you definitely got to work on it. And when you see the results, alhamdulillah, you put your effort in and you leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, I've heard a saying by I think it was an addict actually. I don't know what he was an addict of. Might be some drugs or something. But one of the things that he says is surrender the outcome. So do the hard work, do
Yeah.
the best that you can do, and then surrender the outcome. Is sometimes when we attach when we get attached to the expectation of the result is when we it causes the stress and the frustration, because now you're wanting a certain type of outcome,
Yeah.
but it's out of your hand. You can only, for example, tie the camel and then hope for the best and leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Absolutely. No, totally agree. And from there, I just, it made a lot of difference. It made a massive difference at work. I was able to join calls. Alhamdulillah, I was able to do presentations.
Were your work people surprised? Like, what's going on here?
They were surprised. And to be honest, I became a little bit more open in that sense as well.
You were happy to explain that why you weren't able to jump on previously.
Exactly. So with a couple of people, I'm able to explain to them, look, this is what I was going through, and
you can express your vulnerability.
Absolutely, yeah. So that made a difference, and alhamdulillah, joining this call with you today. Going back a year ago, I would definitely not have done it. Absolutely no for me. Creating some content on YouTube just to raise awareness, for parents where their teenagers are vaping, just to raise awareness how dangerous it can be. And if you know that your teenager is vaping,
it's a serious. I'm just gonna cut you off. Sorry to cut you off, but it is a serious problem. It's not a case of like but it's actually life changing, I would say, because that one conversation or two conversations that I had with you, it was initially a validation call. Then we started talking about vaping and things like that, and that's had an effect on definitely on our family and on my son as well, because suddenly he's seeing it from a different perspective, and sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But the other problem is that, like, for example, smoking, we know that's been, happening for hundreds of years. But with vaping, it's only been around about 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah. I look back at some of the adverts, and on some of the smoking adverts, they have got actually babies on them. You've got children on them, like saying, "My dad smoked these cigarettes. He's so cool." That kind of language, old fashioned language, like almost black and white type, like 50 years ago. And it's madness. And you think, are we going to be talking about vapes? And for me, it's ultra processed foods. So it's really horrible, chemically processed foods and seed oils and things like that. That's my like poison that I call. So are we going to talk about these things in 50 years in the same way that we're talking about cigarettes now? Probably,
because the other thing is this: we don't know. We don't have enough like kind of evidence as to how harmful it is.
Because you're saying it's only been around for like 15 years, 20 years?
In the UK, I think it's been around 15 years. So, and I think altogether probably came out in China, I think around about 5 years before then or something. But yeah, it's not been around enough. But the amount of harmful...
Made in China, guys. Heard it here first, made in China.
No, but it has a lot of harmful chemicals. It's not just nicotine. There's harmful chemicals that are inside, like glue, and from the just antifreeze. I think antifreeze. The chemical
antifreeze, yeah, I've heard that as well.
Have it in e-cigarettes as well. So But yeah, I think the main thing for me was, alhamdulillah, to raise awareness, inshallah. And, if parents do know now that their teenagers are smoking or vaping, take a different approach if their approach was like, like the normal Asian culture, or, they will just they'll find out, and they'll just start shouting at the kids. Like, if I find out, you're smoking or vaping, look what I'm going to do, watch what I'm going to do to you. So move away from that kind of mindset and change it as well. So inshallah, if they, it works. Honestly, it works wonders. That kind of approach where you're showing empathy to your child, and it's about having balance. It's having a balance. Having a good relationship with your child, with your teenager. You want your teenager to be able to come up to you and talk to you and be able to tell you that, and be open. Yeah. Rather than them being discreet and you finding out. That way, you can't even really help them properly, and you don't really get anywhere. So, alhamdulillah, relationships, can change, and you'll have a healthier relationship as well.
Yeah, subhanallah. Um, my uh, my experience with my son, he's 15. I've got a daughter who's 13. So
Mashallah.
I can definitely see that even though we're home editing, even though we're home educating, um, there is, if you're not careful, if you're not on the ball, there will slowly emerge a void, an attachment void that will be made up by peers, by social media, by online, by ideas, by movies, by music, by
Yeah,
ideology. So keeping that attachment bond really strong, and they talk about it in the book as well,
yeah,
is really, so is necessary, basically.
yeah,
Even though it's hard work, it's a case of realizing that, and I think this works with so many different areas. Once you be, once you become a learner, once you develop a learner mindset, it helps you in so many different areas. As soon as you realize that, look, I don't know about this. Okay, let me find out. Let me go and approach somebody who knows about this. Um, it becomes a growth mindset rather than a stagnant, fixed mindset.
yeah,
And so
absolutely.
you start looking for solutions. You start looking for what you don't know rather than all the wonderful stuff that you do know,
Mm,
because what you do know is not going to help you to get
absolutely.
to where you need to go.
Yeah,
Like the person you are now isn't going to be the same that you're going to be in a year's time, and 2 years time, or 5 years time, and you're a testament to that, mashallah, tabarakallah. And I think
yeah,
brother Arshad mentioned as well. Obviously, we're both on the Muslim CEO program as well. Which, how has that affected you? Or because we joined roughly about the same time, how has
yeah.
that affected you over the last year or so?
I think that program's amazing as well. I joined it just, I think, after I joined the Muslim Mastery Confidence Program. And I think they talk about confidence in the Muslim CEO program as well, and having the right mindset.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's really, really good. The program itself, the people, the community, alhamdulillah, it's all fantastic.
But
It's really,
by the way, we're not getting any commission for this. Yeah, we're just genuinely um, grateful that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala connected us. I certainly am connected us to a community of like-minded
yeah,
Muslim brothers and sisters who are serious about tackling some of the most common kind of like problems, not even common, but problems that are facing the Muslim community, and they're wanting to do it in a way of excellence, in the best way that they can. And the community is very, very supportive, alhamdulillah. And I think sometimes that's all you need, like
that's
the
all you.
accountability, the people around you. And this is one of the reasons why I'm doing, this podcast, because of the conversation that we previously had was so interesting, and
Yeah, yeah,
I learned so much, and it's helped me, uh, with some of the issues that I've been having with my family. That I thought it'll be wonderful to have these conversations openly, where we've got a platform, we've got a voice, we can just have that
absolutely.
conversation, and people can, inshallah, take benefit from that.
No, it's fantastic. I've spoken to brothers from other side of the world. You know what I mean? It's really really good.
Yeah,
Part of this Muslim CEO program, brothers from America and other places as well. So it's really really good. And
yeah.
yeah, so
So we'll just pivot a little bit towards fitness and food, if that's okay. Because for me, I've seen a lot of damage being done to our Muslim community. For example, diabetes, obesity. Like everybody's got a story of somebody that's got diabetes. Everybody's got a story of somebody in their family who's, and we're talking about type 2 diabetes, which is
yeah,
preventable.
yeah,
Everybody's talking about, because when I did my validation calls, it was the main issue was firstly it was money, finances, cost of living, need more money. And straight away, I was like, in my head, I'm like, money's never enough, yeah? So the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith as well,
absolutely.
to this effect, that it's only the soil or the dust of the grave that will fill the belly of the son of Adam. Meaning, you're going to be always greedy for more wealth
Yeah,
until you go into the grave. So this is like almost part of a fitra that we've got.
you always want more. Yeah,
Yeah, so I just lost my train of thought there for a second. Um, so this idea of more has been almost co-opted and um, is being used to get us to overconsume, which is leading to a lot of these health issues. From my research and from the work that I've done, looking at the scientists, looking at in the fitness industry, looking at the diet industry, looking at the pharma industry. Um, so what's your experience of, for example, fitness, health, food? What's
yeah.
your like methodology? What's your ideology around these things?
So in terms of fitness, Alhamdulillah, I love nature. Honestly, I love nature. So in the UK, as a family, we try to go out and about quite a lot, whether it's the Lake District, Peak District, Wales, Scotland. I like nature. I like walking, hiking. I like it. Not I don't do it as much as I should be doing it, but I love traveling as well. So as a
It's
as
hard. It's hard in the rain, isn't it? It's hard to
yeah,
get out in the rain.
yeah, absolutely. So we try to go like during holidays, Easter holidays, half term holidays, summer holidays. So I love walking, but in terms of
So
and
where you live, are you able to you will take a walk where you live? Is it countryside? Is it
no, not
town?
really.
Is it urban? Suburban?
It's the closest place I would say for a decent walk would be. It depends what you're after, doesn't it? So if you're like me, I like going to the hills or to the mountains and stuff. So
Like
you're
a
look
half day, full day excursion?
definitely, yeah. So when I go to the Lake District, alhamdulillah, we try to spend 3 4 days there. Um,
Lake District is beautiful.
but
We
and
used
the
to do a lot of bike riding.
oh,
So my experiences of bike riding in
that's
in
something.
the countryside.
Yeah, that's something that I wanted to get into. But more than anything, it's family time as well. It's family time where
Yeah.
you can, tell the kids to switch their devices off, and we can just have some decent family time. So, in terms of fitness, that's pretty much what I do. Yeah, I'm not very fit. I would say I'm not very fit, and food. It's a bit of a mixture of like we don't eat out very often, probably like once every 3 weeks. I don't know. I mean, I know families out there that are probably doing it once a week, but yeah, once every kind of 3 weeks kind of thing. But alhamdulillah, we try to eat healthy at home as well.
Do you do any cooking yourself?
Alhamdulillah, yeah, yeah, I can do some cooking, not much though, like just I like cooking steak.
Probably
Uh,
more than me. Nice.
Say that again.
So that's nice. Steak.
Yeah, so with me, my iron levels tend to go low. So yeah, it's good for the iron level. So I can cook. Yeah, alhamdulillah, a bit of curries here and there as well. So yeah, not
Alhamdulillah.
but yeah,
I
not too.
think I think a lot of this stuff we have a deficiency because of the environment, because of the kind of not getting out, not getting the sunlight, just not eating the right stuff. Like in terms of iron, so
Yeah,
many people with iron deficiency, vitamin D deficiency,
yeah.
vitamin C deficiency. It's very very common.
I don't know if this was a problem 20, 30 years ago, or whether it's just something that's gradually being crept in or something.
Yeah, I think from what I've learned, it's something that's it goes hand in hand with the processing of the food. Excuse me. So as you get obviously the food companies, they want to make money,
Yeah,
and the more money they make, the more bigger they get. They can survive for longer, and their shareholders get paid basically, and everybody's happy.
yeah,
If they're not, then they're gonna go bankrupt and they're gonna go out of business. So how do they ensure that they're always in profit? So one of the ways that they do it is to make sure that their food has a long shelf life.
mm,
And to do that, you have to take out some of the ingredients, or some of the natural uh, uh, um, raw material in the food that uh, uh, basically decomposes it. So once you take that out, for example, fiber is a big one. Fiber, if you once you take the food, the fiber out, and water as well. Once you take the water, the moisture content out, the food stays on the shelf for longer.
mm,
So you could have a massive shelf life, and you're going to get, that thing is going to sell. There's more chance of making a profit from it.
okay, okay.
That seems to be the driver. And the other thing is to make it really, really tasty. So they
Right.
use these something called bliss points. So
Oh,
the engineers, they're getting paid, thousands and thousands of pounds. In fact, they're probably spending billions every year on. Firstly, is the marketing side of it, trying to make things look so appealing and attractive, where they use something called double speak, and they say, good for your heart, good for this, good for that, full of iron, blah blah blah. But nobody's going around checking, are they? They
mm,
just use these words and these kind of like bite-sized catchphrases
yeah,
willy nilly,
yeah,
without any evidence, for the truth of it, behind the scenes. And the other way they do it is, like I said, the bliss point is where they engineer the food, the salt, the sugar, the fat, the crunchiness, the little powder that's left on your hand, the way it opens, the smell, the foil, everything is immaculately designed to increase appeal, and
yeah,
also when you are eating it, that you're going to finish it and you're going to want more. It's like three or four factors. Once you understand these, it's like it's like what you had your experience with anxiety. I had my experience with addiction. I think that's why we're kind of aligned there. We've had a similar experience. Mine was with uh, with addiction. And once you start looking at it, and you think, wait a minute, I think I can flip this switch. I think, and it's amazing once you do.
yeah,
Like Alhamdulillah, something will be in front of me, and I'm like, no, I've got my rules, I've got my principles, I've got my standards, and that's something that I'm not going to have.
yeah,
You know, and you can actually stop yourself, like for example, you did with your smoking.
yeah. Alhamdulillah. It's just a shift of mindset completely, changing it. And alhamdulillah, yeah.
So, what would you say to somebody somebody's listening now, and they're in a similar situation where, for example, they've got a lack of confidence, and they they're kind of stuck in a cycle. of bad habits, let's just say,
Right.
how would you advise them, do you think?
In terms of anxiety, and I personally know a few people as well that have had a similar, that have been in a similar situation to me as well,
Yeah,
and they they were very close to going and start using medication. And I would always advise it in the. I'm not a doctor by any means, but I
yeah.
would say, look, try something else before going on to medications. And I'm a prime example, alhamdulillah. I'm not saying, by no means am I saying like, I'm 95% like, anxiety free or anything. Alhamdulillah, I'm in a much better condition than I was previously. I've managed to control a lot of the stuff, so it can be done. Okay, you just need to put your head down and you need to change the mindset. Okay, there's a lot of
Mm,
resources there, and I think it all comes down to something that's most likely happened in the past, trying to find what happened in the past, and then changing the mindset from what you did or what happened to you in the past. So alhamdulillah, it can definitely change. You can definitely change. And if somebody who's been struggling for 10, 15, 20 years can change,
mm.
anyone.
Yeah, so I think it comes that it does become habitual, right? This kind of behavior, it becomes habitual. You
Yeah.
feel like it's part of you. And I've had this experience myself where it's like suddenly I read a book called Atomic Habits,
Okay.
and the way he explains it in there, it's like you don't change it doesn't work like this, that you, for example, change your environment, and then because your environments change, your processes change, and then because your process change, your identity changes. It doesn't work like that.
No.
Habit change doesn't isn't from the outside in, it's from the inside out.
Absolutely.
So once you start to identify as somebody who you want to be, like you'd rather be like,
Mm,
once you become what, or you start to identify as that, then you think, okay, would that person do this? Would that person do that? Would they do this in that way? Would they speak like this? Would they talk? What would the actions be like? And then you start embodying that identity that you want to embrace, that you want to become that, and
yeah.
slowly that affects your environment. Then, for a prime example, cigarettes, smoking, and all that kind of stuff. So suddenly you say, you know, I don't smoke.
Yeah.
I just don't smoke. It's not like I um I don't want to smoke. I
Mm,
just don't smoke. Like I'm a non-smoker. So
yeah.
suddenly it's like, so obviously, what do non-smokers do? What do people who don't smoke? They don't even think about cigarettes. They don't even think about smoking.
But it's a
It's
it's
it's it.
it's not like you're not getting medication or anything to treat this. It's just all in the mind, right? You've changed your mindset from I'm smoking to completely changing it to not smoking at all. You were probably smoking 10 cigarettes a day, and you've gone from there to the next day where you're not smoking at all. And you got to
Mm,
subhanallah, it's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. Yes,
it
I'm
is. Yeah, it is.
easy.
So,
It's
but for me, I was like, I've got a sweet tooth.
mm,
So this is one of those.
yeah,
This is one of those mind tricks.
yeah.
I thought, have I got a sweet tooth, or have I been given a sweet tooth? Is it my belief that I have a sweet tooth? Has somebody, have you seen the movie Inception?
Probably I can't remember it though. Yeah. Can't.
Inception. So they go into people's minds and they plant an idea.
Okay.
Because this is what marketing is all about. Because when I was running desserts, I was
Yeah.
I was marketing. I was marketing my business. I was marketing my shop. I wanted people to have lots of sugar and eat waffles and cakes and milkshakes and all these kind of things. So I had to get into their mind of, and become the best marketer that I could. Then I thought,
Right.
sugar, that's what they've done to me. They've made me believe, you know what I'm talking about, they.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they've made me believe I've got a sweet tooth. I don't really have a sweet tooth. That's
Oh,
not even my identity. That's not even part of me. You see how powerful just the thought is.
absolutely.
Somebody has implanted this idea into my head, and I think there's millions of people out there that keep saying that I've got a sweet tooth, I've got a sweet tooth. I love this, I love that. I'm into this. Making it part of their identity
Yeah, it's
and
probably
taking away the natural fitrah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you with. It's a
absolutely.
really powerful shift.
And some,
And suddenly you realize how powerful propaganda is.
yeah, sometimes you won't even realize. I mean, it might even be like a TV kind of advertisement where you're, watching it and you're not realizing, but then it goes into your mind. Like, you know what, you know,
Subliminal
yeah,
messaging, yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy, but
Straight into your subconscious. And imagine we're watching this. The really shocking thing for me was like when I heard about 5-year-olds and 8-year-olds getting type 2 diabetes, having
wow,
type 2 diabetes. I'm thinking, how is that possible? How can they get a preventable disease? It's a disease at the end of the day. Your body's not working the way
yeah,
it's naturally meant to be. And how has it happened? It's because of the consumption of the food. Basically, you're lacking vital nutrients,
yeah,
and you're adding toxins at the same time.
right,
That's what's going on. You got a double pronged attack, and that's what's causing dysfunction and disease. And that really shocked me.
yeah. That's crazy. I mean, that's the same thing with like 8, 9-year-old children vaping
Vaping,
and on ventilators because of that. So it's just, and I just remembered, even like there's about 6, 7 countries that have banned vaping as well. Yeah,
really? Okay, I didn't know that.
but they've banned vaping as well. So it goes to show,
I
and it's
bet
so,
China's not one of them.
I don't think it is. Yeah. There were
What do you
like
know which countries they are?
I mentioned it in one of the videos. I put a screenshot of
Okay,
one of my videos that you know what,
I'll go back and check.
and I think it was like data up to 2021, where they've basically banned vaping altogether. So you can still smoke in those countries, but you can't vape. So they know
You can't
something.
vape.
Yeah, they know something. So, um,
Mm,
but yeah, I just
yeah.
hoping just whoever's vaping, especially if they're teenagers are vaping, like it's best to quit and just raise awareness. Yeah.
What would you say as an alternative to vaping? Because normally they say if you're giving something up, you should at least have an alternative. So for me, it'll be like instead of having a chocolate, have an apple or have a banana or have a glass of water or go for a walk. So what would you say for a
So
teenager who's
yeah, so it's about keeping the mind busy. I think that's what the main thing is. Um, try to play sports. If they're not playing sports, keep them busy with sports. Don't have them glued onto a TV all day, kind of thing. So, yeah, keep them active. I think that's the main thing. Keep them active, and rather than having a vape, have water. I know it's not the most exciting things to have, but yeah, they should drink water. And yeah, it's just those kind of things. I'm not going to say like replace it with sweets and chewing gum one actually. Yeah, chewing gum's a good one actually. So from what I read, so if they're having the cravings for vaping, replace it with a chewing gum, and I think that helps a bit as well.
okay? Yeah, that will help a lot. I'm I'm a big advocate for water recently.
So have I.
Um,
You know what?
yeah,
I've tried to change small habits as much as possible. So water's one of them. Alhamdulillah, I didn't drink much water at all. Honestly, I would probably drink like 2 glasses of water, three. That's how I was previously. Alhamdulillah, got
what
into
in a week or a day?
no, in a day, 2 glasses. Just say around about 2 glasses per day, and Alhamdulillah, now Alhamdulillah 5 to 6 glasses per day. Yeah, I'm not talking about massive glasses, but yeah,
Yeah,
regular glasses. Yeah, so Alhamdulillah,
yeah,
keeping the body Alhamdulillah hydrated. So yeah.
yeah. Subhanallah. So I'll tell you a story. There's a book called I downloaded it online. It's called Your Body's Many Cries for Water. Your Body's Many Cries for Water. I believe that's the name.
Okay.
It's an Iranian doctor, and he talks about curing ulcers. We're going back to the start. Remember with your ulcer, he was
Okay.
talking about curing ulcers with water. He was in prison in during the coup against the Shah of Iran, whenever that was, and they locked him up. Basically, he was a doctor. He'd studied in London, and then he'd gone back there, back to his home country of Iran. He was running a medical center and things like that. But they arrested him, and when people complained of ulcers, he started to give them water, and within like 3 glasses of water, they were perfectly fine again. I mean, he's talking about people squirming on the floor, holding the stomach, almost dead, like in that much pain,
Mm.
and 2 glasses of water, 3 glasses of water, 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, half an hour later, they're perfectly fine. So
Wow. Wow.
he's written a whole book about it, about our bodies. They they literally need about 2 liters. And I think Barbara O'Neill, she talks about this as well. She's on TikTok and YouTube talking about health and nutrition.
Mm.
And she mentions about 2 liters your body goes through, just the whole the processes that your body goes through on a daily basis. The average person, your body uses about 2 liters of water.
Okay.
And this doctor, he talks about, okay, you're having hydrate, you're trying to hydrate the body, but when you're using, for example, energy drinks, or you're using dilute juice and fizzy drinks and coffee and tea, it's not the same thing, because these are diuretics that they dehydrate you, tea and coffee, and the energy drinks and stuff like that. So you're not going to get your proper fill of water. And then just I think yesterday I was reading another book about water, that the way it is in your body is in a crystallized form called structured water. And structured water, you get it from natural. The more natural the water, the more
Mm.
structured it is, and the more structured it is, it basically forms a nice solid barrier
Okay.
uh, inside your body, like of um, the way it basically, it's not inside your body. It's not water. It's more like a gel. So structured water, it's more like a gel. So you can imagine like jelly.
Right.
It's that kind of structure. And when it starts to become more liquidy, that's when you get problems, because you've got toxins and you've got chemicals and you've got um, particles that shouldn't be going through, passing various barriers, and they are passing the barrier because your water is not structured enough. Um, yeah, I find all this stuff absolutely fascinating, and it
Is it?
kind of makes sense, because your brain. This is another thing that he was talking about in that book, that your brain is basically in isn't affected by gravity, because it's in this uh, gel like structure made up of water, pretty much, because your brain's about 80% water.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not a I'm not a a scientist with accolades and stuff like that. But I'm just sharing what I've read in the book, and for that reason, because you can imagine, if it's just water, your brain will be going all over the place, right?
Mm.
When you move your head, your
Exactly.
brain's going to be banging around,
Yeah.
but it's more like a gel around your brain,
SubhanAllah.
and
Yeah.
it's more cushioned, and so you could imagine that, like, that is what your body, the water in your body is structured like, more like a jelly. And the way you get that is, for example, the water, the more natural water is come from a vortex. It's got all the microbes and the minerals from the natural environment, for example, the spring. But also they mention about having the natural kind of wavelengths from the moon and from the sun and from the sounds of nature.
Wow.
All of these things, they affect the water, subhanallah. And then we read in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created every living thing from water. And we made Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us from water. And you think, subhanallah, how long are we going to neglect the importance of water in our system? Now I'm just talking like because
Subhanallah.
I totally flipped over the last 2-3 years, realized that what are we doing to ourselves? Instead of the milkshakes and the fizzy and the energy drinks and all that, just have water.
Yeah.
That's what your body needs. That's what your body's crying out for. A lot of illnesses can be prevented and reversed. And I'm not saying this lightly, by having the correct or enough water in your system. And one of the best ways is, sorry, I keep going on about this, but I'm trying to get as much information as I can out. Vegetables. So the cucumber is about 90% structured water.
Yeah.
And the Prophet ﷺ, he ate cucumber and he ate it with dates.
Yeah.
So suddenly everything starts to make sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Subhanallah.
No, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So do you have any, like, are you into vegetables, fruits?
Yeah, I love my fruits. Vegetables, alhamdulillah.
What's your favorite fruit?
Not To be honest, I'm not really picky at home. Alhamdulillah, whatever my wife makes, alhamdulillah, I try to we eat it. I mean,
What about the kids?
the kids can be a little bit fussy. But yeah, we try to, yeah, we try to have like a balance. Again, and everything comes down to balance, doesn't it? So,
Yeah.
eat chicken, vegetable, lentils.
Yeah.
Yeah, lentils. We have a bit of lentils here and there, and fruit. Alhamdulillah, apples, oranges, bananas, and yeah. So, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I think balance is very important. Like that's why part of my offering is like, without the confusing diets, because there's so much information out there. If we just stick with the balance and have a bit of everything, and don't go overboard with the chicken, don't go overboard with the meat, don't go overboard with the veggies. One trick that I've found is, if you have the vegetables first, then you have your protein and you have your fats, then you have your carbs at the end. So you're having everything,
Yeah.
but you're having it in a structured way, in a sequence. What happens is you stay fuller for longer, and your energy stays higher for longer as well. You don't get a glucose spike.
You don't get, sorry, what?
A glucose spike.
Right. Okay.
A glucose spike is when you're basically, you have a high, you have loads of energy, and then insulin is released, and then the glucose is absorbed into your liver, into your muscles, into your cells, and then suddenly the glucose drops right down, and then you feel tired and fatigued and lethargic. Sometimes when you have like a high carbohydrate meal without anything else, you feel that, like, don't know, you feel sleepy, because there's this effect of the glucose spike and the insulin spike.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it's fascinating what you learn once you
when you
decide you don't know something.
Yeah.
Yeah, subhanallah. So brother, I'm just going to check the time. Let's see how we're doing. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about? Let's see how we're on. We're on 1 hour 8 minutes. Doing pretty good, alhamdulillah. I think we should call it a day.
I think we should call it a day. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to work now. So,
okay, yeah.
But you know what? Really appreciate Jazakallah khair for having me here, and giving me the opportunity to talk about a few things. And I hope, inshallah, the main two messages, what I really wanted to talk about was anxiety and how it can be managed and how you can overcome it as well, alhamdulillah. And the same with vaping. It's a massive issue, especially in the UK, where a lot of teenagers are vaping. You walk on a road, you're bound to see children just vaping, and it needs to change, inshallah. So hopefully, even if
let's do it, man. Let's be the change.
Inshallah. Yeah. So
Jazakallah for your time. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. And Jazakallah for all the work you're doing. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill it with immense barakah. And inshallah, I'll see you on the inside.
Inshallah. Okay, Assalamu alaikum.
Take care, man. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.